Hi guys, we're going to go ahead and start with factoring trinomials when a equals 1 and learning about the greatest common factor. So this first example, you just want to multiply. So we're going to take x times x, which gives us x squared, and x times a negative 5, which gives us a negative 5x. Then we'll take 3 times x to give us 3x, and we will take 3 times negative 5 to give us a negative 15. After that, you'll just want to combine like terms. So only our like terms right here are negative 5x and positive 3x. So we still have our x squared. Negative 5 plus 3 gives us a negative 2x, and then minus 15. Okay, you want to pay attention here because negative 15, if you see negative 15 here, 3 times the negative 5 will give us a negative 15. So x plus 3x minus 5 is the factored form of x squared minus 2x minus 15. So when factoring a trinomial, here's your trinomial. Your answer will be two binomials. Two binomials right here. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and work backwards. So we're going to start with our factored form, or we're going to start with our trinomial and factor that. So you will look for two numbers that multiply to give you 20, but add to give you 9. So list all the factors of 20. You have 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5, and then you'll just go through and add them. 1 plus 20 is 21, 2 plus 10 is 12, and 4 plus 5 gets us 9. So that will work, and you'll just have to write it in two binomials like we did here. So x plus 4 and x plus 5. And that would be your answer right there. So for the next one, we're doing the same thing. Two numbers that multiply to give us 12, but add to give us a negative 8. So you're going to have to make sure your signs are correct, that it multiplies to give us a positive 12, but will add to give us a negative 8. So what is one way that you can get a positive number when multiplying? Well, multiplying two positive numbers. You can also get a positive number when multiplying when you multiply two negatives together. So if we went through the list of what multiplies to give us 12, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Well, which one's going to add to give us 8? But we're going to have to make sure it's negative. So to give us a negative number, but multiply to give us positive, they're both going to have to be negative. So negative 1 minus 12 gives us a negative 13. Negative 2 minus 6 gives us a negative 8. So that one right there will work. So write it as two binomials, x minus 2 and x minus 6. That wasn't very good. All right, for example 3. Again, two numbers that multiply to give us 24, but add to give us 11. So two numbers that's going to work. It's going to be 8 and 3. So you can go down the list of what multiplies to give us 24, 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6, and just see which one is going to add to give us 11, which is 8 and 3. So D plus 3, D plus 8. All right, for example 4, two numbers that multiply to give us a negative 15, but add to give us 2. So 1 and 15. 3 and 5. Well, one's going to have to be negative, but we want our answer to be a positive 2. So that means your smaller number is going to be the negative. So 15 minus 1 gives us 14. 5 minus 3 gives us 2. So your two binomials are going to be x minus 3 and x plus 5. Not very good at doing this. All right, example 5. Two numbers that multiply to give us 18, but add to give us a negative 7. So multiply to give us negative 18, add to give us a negative 7. So those two numbers, let's see, 1 and 18, 2 and 9, because it is a negative 7 and we have a negative 18, we know that one of them is going to have to be a negative number, but because it has to add to give us a negative number, our bigger number is going to want to be, we're going to want it to be negative. So let's make our 18 negative and our 9 negative. Negative 18 plus 1 gives us negative 17. Negative 9 plus 2 gives us 7. So that one will work. It will be x plus 2 and x minus 9. All right, for the next one, two numbers that multiply to give us negative 48, but add to give us 13. Okay, you'll have to figure out what all they all are. 1 and 48. 2 and 24, 3 and 16. Now it has to be a negative number, but we want our middle number to add to give us a positive 13. So that means our bigger number is going to have to be positive. So, and our smaller number will be negative. So 48 minus 1 gives us 47. 24 minus 2 gives us 22. 16 minus 3 gives us 13. So that one matches for us. It will be y minus 3 and y plus 16. All right, for the next one, two numbers that multiply to give us negative 24, but add to give us a negative 2. So we have 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. So because we need it to be a negative number when we multiply and the negative number when we add it together, that means the bigger number is going to have to be negative. Negative 24 plus 1, 23, negative 23, negative 12 plus 2 gives us a negative 10, negative 8 plus 3 gives us a negative 5, and negative 6 plus 4 gives us a negative 2. So that one works. So it would be r plus 4 and r minus 6. Negative 20, looking for what's going to multiply to give us negative 20, but add to give us a negative 1. When there is no number there, that means there is a 1 there, okay? So 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. Has to be a negative when we multiply and a negative when we add it together, so our bigger number is going to be negative. You can see right here that negative 5 plus 4 gives us a negative 1, so x plus 4 and x minus 5. Okay, for the last one, two numbers that multiply to give us negative 18, but add to give us 3. So 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. Negative number, but if we want it to add to give us a positive number, so we want our bigger number to be positive. So small numbers are negative, and the one that is going to work is 6 minus 3 to give us a positive 3, so x minus 3 and x plus 6. All right, moving on from factoring, we are going to find the greatest common factor. So this is the first thing that you always need to do when you're talking about factoring is look for the greatest common factor. So the biggest number that will come out of everything in the equation. So what can be divided by 6 and 9? 3. They both have ends, so you're always going to take the smallest variable as long as they all have it. So they both have an end, so that means I can take out an n to give me 2n plus 3. So now you would just have to find numbers that multiply by 3 to get us back to the original. So 3 times 2 gives us 6, n times n gives us n squared, 3n times 3 gives us 9n. All right, example 11, 7n squared minus 21. The greatest common factor of 7 and 21 is going to be 7 because 7 can divide by 7 and 21 is also divisible by 7. So 7 divided by 7 is 1, or n squared in this case. We can just put negative 21 divided by 7 will give us a negative 3. All right, so now we have a trinomial, which means we're still going to check for the greatest common factor first. So there's a 4 here. 4 also goes into 20, and 4 also goes into 56. So let's take a 4 out. We get x squared plus 5x minus 14. So now we're back to a trinomial, so we'll have to do what we were doing earlier. And two numbers that multiply to give us negative 14, but add to give us 5. So those two numbers are going to be 7 and 2. It has to be a negative number when we multiply, but a positive when we add. So the smaller number is going to be negative. 7 minus 2 is 5. 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. So x plus 7, x minus 2. That would be your final answer. Same thing with example 13. We need to check for the greatest common factor first. We have 4, 8, and 12. Well, 4 goes into all three of those numbers, so we're going to factor out a 4 again. We'll get x squared plus 2x plus 3. So two numbers that multiply to give us 3, but add to give us 2. Well, that's going to be, so the only number that multiplies to give us 3 is 1 and 3. But since it's a positive, they both have to stay positive, or they both need to be negative. Either way, that will never give us a positive 2. So doesn't work, we can't do it, and we just leave it as is, okay? If you guys have any questions, make sure you join the Google Meet to get some help. Have a great day.